So Mungo Lake is roughly over here. I most probably also will talk about Sulawesi, Sulawesi, and about the 1 million years fossil in China that has characteristics of what we call Homo sapiens, let's say of modern humans. And so Mungo, Australia, Sulawesi, China fossil, and Java. I don't think I mentioned it. Java, Homo erectus. So what I will try to do is to present a mix that will demonstrate a connection between, especially South America, but between the Americas, especially South America, with Australia, Indonesia, Oceania, and India. So, for instance, before I forget, Mungo men, there's also a Mungo woman. Anyhow, the fossils are 50 to 60,000 years or more. And one of the fossils in Mungo Lake is covered in ochre, and has his hands, how do you call it, the fingers, let's say crossed, interlaced above his penis. So where do we see something similar? We're talking about something 50, 60,000 or more years ago. Not in Africa, in Australia, in the Pacific, so to speak, and connected to South America. So Australia is in a way an extension of Eurasia. In the Ice Age, this was connected into Sundaland, and Australia was connected to Papua New Guinea and Tasmania in Sahul. So it was only separated from this extended Eurasia by 35 kilometers, but this is a deep sea, somewhere between Java and Lombok. You don't even see the separation here. It looks like a continuation. And this will make contact, as I explained. So there's somewhere that you don't even see on this map between Java and Lombok. Let's say we correlate it to this current, because this current couldn't even show. And this is today. So this separation between the whole of Eurasia, that extends far to the southeast, and Sahul is only 35 kilometers. It's dangerous to cross if you would come from Africa or from Asia, or even if you want to cross back, supposedly cross back from Australia to Asia. It is dangerous because you would be thrown in cold water and thrown in the Indian Ocean. So you would die. Unless you are a very experienced navigator and you could catch up with this current, then you could go back more or less in the direction of Tasmania, or the west wind drift. It's very cold and it's very stormy. It's very dangerous. Even modern ships avoid navigating at these latitudes. So anyhow, if you were a very good navigator, you could go back to South America, to Peru, Ecuador, Colombia. You will later understand why I connect these things. So anyhow, Mungo Lake with Mungo Lake with this Native American traditions. Further, we know that there are markers in the Americas that come back in Australia, in Oceania, in Indonesia, all the way up to India. How is that possible? So that's because they are connected with the currents. For instance, how can a South American get into Mungo Lake? Well, here The East Australia Current will throw any South American that can stay afloat on the south of Australia or the southeast of Australia with Mungo Lake. There's other characteristics that are typical for archaeological sites, or for ancient archaeological sites. And the very weird or very important thing is that the mtDNA is modern human mtDNA. So it's of the age of out of Africa, or even much older, 10,000 of years older, and it is modern mtDNA. So this is proven mitochondrial Eve. African mitochondrial Eve, which is mtDNA L, is not present in the world amongst modern humans. It's present in sub-Saharan Africa. So that's not Saharan Africa, which is quite, and not North Africa. It doesn't spread at all to the world. It's only in sub-Saharan Africa. It's not in the Saharan Africa, and it's not in North Africa. How could it have spread to the world? There's more. There's more to this, much more. But it's enough. It hasn't left Africa. And before it supposedly left Africa and evolved, mysteriously evolved, modern mitochondrial Eve was in Australia. So in Australia is connected by this gyre with South America. And South America, by the way, has mitochondrial Eve from Africa and has markers in common with Polynesia, Australia, Oceania, Indonesia, as far as India. I will try to make a resume of the why of this video. I want to show that there is a connection between South America, the Amazon forest, Mungo Lake fossil, 50, 60,000 more years old, with modern mtDNA. In other words, with modern DNA, modern human DNA. It shows the site, the archaeological site, shows similarities with other places, but this time in the skeleton form. There's ochre, which is typical for Native Americans, also in North America, and has his hands on his genitals. Across the world, for instance, in Göbekli Tepe, and also in the Americas, you have a man figure with his hands interlaced on his navel or on his genitals. So we see modern human DNA in Australia before out of Africa and before the supposed admixture between these out of Africans and Neanderthals, which is never proven where that could have been, which is very strange. Why would they mix when they're ready? They are ready. They're ready, and they are in course to spread around the world through the Austronesian expansion. So what with China, it's 1 million years ago. So that leaves mitochondrial Eve, African mitochondrial Eve, out of range because that's only 200,000 years old. Besides, consensus doesn't mention that, all Neanderthals carry an earlier form of mtDNA, but that won't make it into modern humans, but that destroys the out of Africa theory, hypothesis. So something else that I want to mention and hopefully can draw attention to, archaeological sites like this 1 million years old site, they are associated with Neanderthals, with deep canyons, with mines. I should have said mines first. All Neanderthal fossils, near to 100%, are found in mines. In this case of China, the 1 million year old fossil, it's in a river. It's a high number. I'm not sure if I'm mixing up with Java? No, it's Java. It's in a river. But the Chinese one is next to a river where with high canyon on both sides, and where I think one of the highest or the highest suspension bridge is built, and so on, because it's so extreme. This canyon, just like you have extreme canyons in the United States. So there is this link with very deep canyons, which consensus says are natural, and I will claim they are not natural. I will explain how. If you look up the forms of valleys, natural valleys, you won't see a canyon. It's V, it's U, and some more, the flat version. There's not this kind of canyon. So this kind of canyons are not natural. It's just consensus keeps on, let's say, hiding that. The Great Canyon also is not natural. Several canyons in Europe are not natural. Neanderthals had high densities in this area from Gibraltar to the top of the foot of Italy. So these are all regions with mines, with resource-rich areas, involved in subduction, and on this part with volcanoes. Sulawesi and Java and China are in the Ring of Fire and are also related to subduction, to volcanoes, to resource in a lot of resources, but also copper and tin, and that will play a role in the Bronze Age, of course, which is much later, because we're talking about 50, 60,000 more years ago, talking about 1 million years ago. We're probably here in Sulawesi talking about 50, 60,000 or more years ago. And in Java, we're talking about Homo erectus, we're talking about probably roughly 100,000 to 1 million years ago as well. The majority is not 1.5 million years ago. But we're talking about things that are much older and much more modern than everything regarding sub-Saharan Africa and out of Africa. That is never proven. In fact, there's proof of the contrary, of others invading sub-Saharan Africa and admixturing. For instance, the Sand people, they are not pure in the sense that they are admixtured with modern human DNA. Modern DNA and modern humans are going on before out of Africa, even before mitochondrial DNA L. That is roughly 200,000 years old. Everything is going on before the supposed admixture between supposed Homo sapiens sub-Saharan Africans with Neanderthals somewhere, which is never defined and never proven. Just as the Beringia land bridge crossing and standstill is never proven. Never proven. So this is all proven. This is you got the DNA. It's modern compared to African DNA from South America to pretty much the rest of the world. Australia, Oceania, Indonesia, Asia, India, and behind. So what do you want to do with sub-Saharan Africa that it never left sub-Saharan Africa? That in fact was turned over. Turned over means it is a mixture. In fact, it's a total turnover. It's not a total turnover. It's a mixture. So modern DNA comes to our supposed ancestor, or supposed out of Africa, or supposed Homo sapiens. It doesn't leave, and it gets admixtures. In some way, they are more or less extinct. There's of the roughly 100,000 Sand people, there's only 50,000 that have haplogroup A, which is a supposed Adam DNA. There's nothing that fits to the peopling of the world, and it's all happening here, and it's proven with markers, with modern DNA, and the modern DNA goes at least back 50, 60 and more thousand years ago here. And I said something, when they would manage to come back, of course they are exactly where Mungo land is. So if they were very experienced navigators, and they can use this current, they can float and eventually row and or sail, they will exactly land on Mungo land. And there's quite a lot of other things that I didn't manage in this video, it will be for the next video.